Hello and welcome to round 2 of the 2014 FF1M Championship, round 2 at the sweltering Sepang circuit, the Malaysian Grand Prix. And I'm delighted to be joined this time round by Joseph Willows, the team boss of Willows Racing. How are you doing?
Hello everyone, this is not Courtney Cass for once, and nobody from Yorkshire this time, but yes, it's good to be here. First ever commentary gig for FF1M, looking forward to it.
Good stuff. And we'll start with the last race actually, because we had Fernando Alonso on pole position, and he set the fastest lap as well, but a very, very strange mechanical problem caused him to total his car at the exit of the 11-12 chicane.
Indeed, suspension failure, which is gutting really, because Alonso was actually on good pace that weekend, but these things happen, but it does appear like this season we've definitely got a better car than what we did in 2013, which is a good step forward.
Definitely, and Nico Rosberg backed that up with a second place, behind race winner Lewis Hamilton, who himself got involved in a bit of a controversial incident with Sebastian Vettel, which caused the shaken bake to flip.
I was actually kind of praying that he'd actually help Nico there, because he actually caught up a bit, but oh well.
But Nico finished only 3.1 seconds behind Hamilton in the end, so Willows looking very competitive.
Absolutely, hopefully this continues for the remainder of the season for us, because we don't want to repeat of 2013.
Neither do I in the FJR. Practice didn't look good for me, 18th and 19th, but I am trialling my two test drivers, including Benjamin Pryor, the fictional test driver from Wales, and Sam Bird, who previously drove for Horizon last season. Fernando Alonso topped the first session. Hamilton tops the second session. I noticed you were testing your test drivers as well, Van Dorn and Ocon.
We were indeed. I think, to be fair, Ocon I was actually very impressed with during the Imola pre-season test. He definitely gave me a lot of confidence that the car would work, especially with the main drivers coming in.
So we've got Fernando Alonso second on the grid, with Hamilton on pole position. Less than a tenth is the gap between those two, and Sebastian Vettel up there in third position as well. So what many would regard to be the best three F1 drivers in modern time are the top three on the grid, so we should be in for a very good battle.
Hopefully so. Rosberg in fifth, very impressed with that as well. Exolite, obviously they seem to have dropped back a little bit from Australia. They seem to be a little bit higher up. Of course, they run the same engine as us, the Ilmor, so a bit disappointed to see Kimi down in ninth.
Sergio Perez up in sixth though, so that's an impressive effort.
Indeed, a bigger improvement for him, definitely getting the better of his more experienced teammate. Tornado seemed to definitely be struggling though. Jean-Eric Vergne down in 15th position, which is a shame really, because I expected Tornado really to be fighting at the front with the likes of us and, well, Team Hamilton as I like to call them, because I think Gujira's got a bit of a similar structure going on to the Red Bull Racing in that they've built their car around one driver. So,
And just looking through the rest of the grid, and as you say, Tornado struggling a bit. Sebastian Buemi down in last, with another former Red Bull stalwart, Jaime Alguersuari, at the back, joining him. So here we go. We've got 56 laps of the Malaysian Grand Prix to contest, and on come the lights. 5 lights are on, and the obligatory pause before the 5 lights go out, and it was a good start from Sebastian Vettel. Very quick reaction times. And Fernando Alonso is looking to get up alongside Lewis Hamilton going into the first corner. And there's a Mitchell coming up the inside. But it is Lewis Hamilton side by side with Fernando Alonso through the first couple of corners. But it's Lewis Hamilton in the lead. Vettel's trying to come up alongside Alonso. But Alonso looks like he's holding that.
He is at the moment. Hulkenberg up into third. Very impressive start.
Great start from Nico Hulkenberg, and there's some action further back. Rosberg versus Vettel, and Hulkenberg spinning Alonso off as well. And there's chaos further back. I think that's Jaime Alguersuari, is it? Or is it Hulkenberg that's lost a wheel?
Hulkenberg, I think. I think it's Hulkenberg. Yes, it is.
It is Hulkenberg. That's a shame for him. Great start, but couldn't do out with it. On board with Hulkenberg, as we watch the replay of the start, and you can see Hulkenberg getting good start. Not such a good start from Perez, and up the inside, going into turn 1, making up
definitely
a lot
late
of
on
positions.
The brakes.
And then you can see Alonso and Vettel having the battle into turn 2. They ran
At
in
that
free.
point, Hulkenberg definitely capitalised from that, and then he tried to go for a run, I think, on Alonso going into turn 4, and I think there was a bit of contact, I think I saw. Yes, there was, and that's how Alonso went wide and has dropped a couple of positions. Luckily, Alonso not out of the race that time, and that's how he lost the wheel.
Now, was that Kubica? No, it wasn't Kubica. Who on earth was that collided with Hulkenberg? It might have been... Was it Vettel? No, it wasn't Vettel. Can't have been Vettel. Oh, Vettel got delayed.
Oh, yes, was it? He got delayed.
Oh, it was the Exolite.
One of the Exolite. I think it might have been Raikkonen. Or is it... Perez.
Checo Perez was the one that contacted with Hulkenberg. So, as we round halfway around the lap, it's Kubica who's up in 4th position and Raikkonen nibbling away, and somebody actually nibbling away at Ricciardo, which is the recovering Fernando Alonso.
Definitely needs to get a move on after that contact. Rosberg 1.6 seconds back now from Lewis Hamilton. Let's see if he can try and close that deficit. Bottas up in 3rd place for the GRM. Very impressive stuff.
Fantastic stuff from Bottas. Took his 2nd career podium last time out in Australia. And that one came after his very bizarre win in Hungary, but no less deserved. And GRM much improved from this season compared to last. And Alonso making the move on Kubica going to turn 1.
Raikkonen just overtook Kubica just before that, but Alonso does go through into 5th place, so Kubica losing 2 places in 2 corners.
And Alonso needs to get a move on here because he's not carrying a lot of fuel. He's expecting to make 2 stops, expecting 1 and 2 stops to be the order of the day here. Here's Ricciardo, who's on the yellow-walled medium tyres, looking to make a move on Kubica, who's on the hards. That's a tight one going into turn 4, but Kubica holding on. Ricciardo definitely 2-stopping as well.
Very close there, as Perez is now alongside, who was that? Ricciardo. He was trying to get alongside there, wasn't able to make the move stick, so he has to tuck back for now. Luckily, Perez didn't get any damage from that little incident with Hulkenberg earlier on in the race, so a very lucky passenger. Definitely,
and both Exolites in the top 8, and just behind Perez there is Grosjean in the much improved Pedersen. And who else is that? Is that Vettel as well? I think Vettel's running in 10th position.
It does look like a shake and bait. So, yeah, it's a shake and bait. It's Vettel, because we're obviously looking at Ricciardo, who's at the moment looking like he's going to try and make a move on Kubica, probably onto this straight that we're coming up to.
Let's have a look as we ride on board with the shake and bake in the slipstream of the Andrew F1. And here comes the slipstream now, up the inside, and that looks like, providing he can get on the brakes in time, which he just about does, lots of understeer, but that's 6th position for Ricciardo. He had a bit of an anonymous race last time out in Australia, but he's currently running ahead of his teammate. No FJRs I've seen, so Button's had a very poor start, way down the order, and I haven't seen Magnussen come through either, so looks like I'm in for a difficult one.
Yeah. In contrast, I'm having, it seems to be having a good race at the moment, because Alonso is currently at the back of Raikkonen at the moment, not Ricciardo. We just saw there, Vettel just passed the Pedersen there. Was that of Grosjean, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, it would have been Grosjean, because Maldonado was quite a way down the order, started 20th, and Vettel looks like he's going to be on the move again, looking at the outside of Kubica, now up the inside, and that was... Whoa, Felipe Massa coming from miles back.
That is a fantastic move, came out of nowhere. Now we're looking at Alonso trying to get through on Raikkonen. Didn't really give him that much space going to the final corner as Hamilton sets another fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and that has, as a result, affected Alonso's momentum on Raikkonen. Both, of course, running the same engine, the Ilmor engine, so... Power, probably it's going to be down to slipstream if Alonso's going to get by on Raikkonen, which he failed to do the first time. But here he goes again. Is he going to get him this time by? No. Again, Raikkonen defending the inside, doing a good job keeping back Fernando.
So Kimi currently runs in 4th position. Had that mistake in Australia where he ran a bit wide at the 11 and 12 chicane and then collected Kubica in the aftermath. So Kimi's going to need to get a good result if he's going to kickstart his championship defence. But 4th place will do him very little harm.
As now Alonso right on the back of Raikkonen. Can he get him this time? He better go on the inside, which he does this time. Surely he's got the move. And no, again. I'm surprised about that. I would have thought Alonso would have dived it, but definitely not.
There's a lot of movement from Raikkonen before the braking zone, so I wonder if Alonso's taking it a little bit more cautiously than usual. Just seen in the background, Grosjean versus Kubica. and... Or is that Massa, rather? Grosjean versus Massa, and Sutil versus Kubica going into turn 1. And Sutil has got the position, so Sutil's having a pretty decent drive. Started 14th. It's been fairly quick for Horizon, and showing some decent race pace. On a lighter fuel load, but not too bad.
As speaking of battles, we're back with this little battle for 4th between Raikkonen and Alonso. And again, Raikkonen doing what he usually does, defending that inside line. Alonso just can't seem to find a way through on him at the moment. Kimi showing that he's not going to be an easy pushover at the moment, as we just saw Hamilton setting another fastest lap. But surely this time he's got him now. He's got the slipstream on the inside. Surely this time Fernando has got 4th place off Kimi Raikkonen. And yes, he has. This time around, Alonso finally gets through on the flying Finn.
Next target, another flying Finn of Valtteri Bottas. Currently sits 8.4 seconds behind Hamilton, and Rosberg 5.5 seconds behind Hamilton at this point, as the two shake and bakes go into combat with one another. Vettel looks the quicker driver at the moment, also on a 2-stop strategy like his teammates, but Vettel on the hard tyres, Ricciardo on the medium, so it looks like the hards are looking better at this stage in the race.
I must admit as well, the shake and bake livery looks really, really nice. It really does. As this is one of the Horizon cars. I believe this is Sutil again? No, it's Paul Di Resta this time.
Di Resta versus Kubica. So Kubica's dropping back a bit on what I assume is a very heavy fuel load on a 1-stop strategy. Now Maldonado and Perez are getting in the mix. And there's a tornado nearly hitting the back of Perez. It's Jean-Eric Vergne. And just behind Vergne, there's one of the FJRs. Who's having
two of the FJRs, because the other one's in the background.
And it's Magnussen who's running ahead of Button at this stage. And Magnussen gets the position from Vergne as we go into the very fast complex. Magnussen's just lost the position. That's fantastic.
And now Button's coming as well. It looks like he's also got Alguersuari on him as well. Of course, it's obviously Alguersuari because Hulkenberg's out of the race. Meantime, we can see is that Sutil defending from one of... I think that's Maldonado attacking one of the Andrea F1s there. And we actually are on Maldonado now.
Maldonado versus Kubica. Sorry, into turn 4.
And he gets it.
And it's a bit slow on the exit from Kubica, and that's going to cause all sorts of mayhem, almost, going into 5 and 6. I wish they'd given them corner names. It'd make it a bit easy for me to say.
Yeah, Herman Tilke. Gotta get a Herman Tilke jab in there.
I like the circuit,
but meantime, yeah, I do as well. I was hoping it would come back during the 2020 revised calendar, but unfortunately it didn't due to Vietnam having a part to play in that, because they were looking to try and twin the two circuits together so that there would be a Far East doubleheader. It looks like one of your guys should have a look up there. Yeah,
either that or something smoking out the back, but very strange to have tyre smoke at that point. Alonso versus Bottas.
Indeed, Alonso on the inside of Bottas. Can he get the move done? Yes, he can. Alonso back onto the podium places. Now he's going to go after his teammate Nico Rosberg. Hopefully, Rosberg won't put up too much of a fight, because clearly Alonso is the quicker car at the moment.
And the gap between the two at the moment, 5.3 seconds. Perez versus Kubica. Bit of contact, a bit of brake smoke, or tyre smoke, but no harm done as they keep the position ahead of Vergne and Magnussen.
Perez was lucky to not lose the back end there at that point. Very lucky, as he's now got the tornado on the back of him. As now we look at Raikkonen, who's on the back of Bottas, the two Finns fighting for 4th. Bottas covers him off there, and for the moment he's just going to hold on to 4th, whereas Vettel is now starting to close up on this gaggle of cars, as well as Maldonado is out of the race with a gearbox problem.
Gearbox drive shaft somewhere in the transmission has gone wrong for the Pedersen Mugen. So he becomes the second retirement of the race, as we watch Kimi Raikkonen versus Valtteri Bottas, and Vettel just lurking up to the back of the two Finns. As we go into turns 7 and 8.
And it looks like Bottas going a bit wide there on the exit of the double right-hander. Is Raikkonen going to pounce this time by? He's looking to the outside again. Bottas covers him off, and it's allowing Vettel to just get that little bit closer to the pair.
Ever the patient Kimi there. Could have gone for the inside, but choosing to bide his time. Better than outbraking yourself and losing your front wing. Now the
making
fast
their way
12.
through this. into 13, I believe this is. And will Raikkonen actually go for the move this time on Valtteri Bottas? No, he's a bit too far back this time so Bottas is safe for the moment, unless Kimi can get a good run out of this final corner and potentially get him into turn 1. Let's see. As he comes out of the final turn, and it looks like he's too far back again to challenge. So it seems these three are going to stay put for the moment.
And the gap between Hamilton and Rosberg is 8.4 seconds at the moment. So Hamilton still pulling away. Haven't seen how much fuel Rosberg has on board the Willows. And Alonso 13.7 behind Hamilton. So it's fairly static at the moment between second and third. Gap's not really coming down, but Hamilton's still extending. And now Vettel looks like he's going to try and make a move on the current champion. Not into turns 5 and 6 yet, though.
I bet Courtney Cass is on the edge of his seat right now.
Oh, he was definitely standing up when the incident happened with Hamilton.
Oh yeah, I have to ask, how much money was in the swear jar after that race? There must have been a lot.
Well, I think it was about 50 quid.
Oh, not quite $1 million then.
Not quite, but it's close enough.
Vettel there had tried to have a go at Raikkonen, but again, Raikkonen doing what he did with Alonso earlier, defending his ground, and that's allowing Bottas to just get away from him a little bit more. But I think as long as Vettel doesn't go to the outside into the final corner, I think he should be able to get the move done into the final corner.
Well, let's have a look as we go onto the back straight as another new fastest lap for Hamilton, a 1:32.634. He's gone to the inside, has Vettel, and can he outbrake the Exolite? Yes, he can. That's 5th position for the shake and bake driver. Can he get a good enough run to avoid Kimi having a go back into turn 1? I think he's got a measure of him there. As we go on to lap 14, 1/4 distance.
Vettel took a lot less time to get by Raikkonen than what Alonso did, so clearly, then again, Vettel, I think, was keeping an eye on what was going on in the background, so he probably learnt a few tips there.
And the gap between Rosberg and Alonso coming down slightly. It's now less than 5 seconds. So let's see which one of the two will pit first, and whether new tyres or the low fuel load proves to be the bigger factor around the Sepang circuit. It usually is the tyres.
Yeah, especially as it's usually known for being quite a heat wave around here. As we look at Hamilton, who looks like he's pitting at the end of this lap. He's got the yellow indication on the bottom left, and he's left it quite late with the fuel, to be quite honest.
Quite late and quite an early stop as well, lap 15. Normally 2 stoppers would come in at about lap 19, lap 20, but Hamilton only going to the end of lap 15, so that's why he's pulled out a big gap of 9.5 seconds, because he wanted that gap before an early first stop, utilising a lighter fuel load.
Do you think this maybe could be a free stop then, if he's not going to lap 20, where we believe the 2 stoppers are going to be, or do you think he might fuel it up a bit more in the tank after his first stop?
Well, we are expecting 1 and 2 stops, so he might put a long middle stint in. Very strange line going into the pit lane. It's always a very odd pit lane, this one.
Yeah, I know from experience it is quite an odd one, especially in qualifying. There's usually quite a lot of chaos there. Luckily, qualifying doesn't get filmed during this, but Hamilton in the pits.
Pulling into the Gajera pit box, and 4 new tyres, 22 laps of fuel, so that's definitely a 2-stop strategy. Should see Hamilton going to lap 37, 38-ish, and 5.5 seconds is the stop. So just seeing there's
Meanwhile,
a battling.
Sorry to cut you off, James, but Vettel, I think, has just got past Bottas there. I just saw it on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I just spotted that one as well. And Ricciardo into the pits for his first stop. Hamilton is 8th behind Romain Grosjean. As Suttle comes into the pits from 10th or 9th place, depending on where the computer puts him. Verne into the pits as well, so the 2 stoppers well and truly underway.
Carlos Sainz also came in as well that time.
Fairly solid performance from Sainz last time out in Australia in his first race. Kept it very clean and finished 10th, I believe. Not a bad effort for someone who's got comparatively very little experience compared to much of the field.
My presumption is George only got him because of how quick he is in real life, not bearing in mind that this is FF1M, not real life. So, meanwhile, 1-2 at the moment. There is, yeah. At the moment, 1-2 for us, but Rosberg is coming into the pits at the end of this lap, so this will obviously be a 2-stop if Hamilton's also on that 2-stop. Alonso should take the lead for the moment. Well, he should. I wouldn't imagine it to be a double stack, otherwise that'll be a complete disaster for us. I'll be having words if that was the case.
In fact, is that the case?
Oh, yeah.
It's just happened.
Oh, for God's sake! Why did I say something?
Well, that's
why. Someone's getting sacked in the morning.
Who on earth have they got in this strategic team? I'm just trying to think who's...
Probably the Ferrari mechanics.
That's definitely Ross Brawn. The alter ego of Ross Brawn.
Oh, it's Mattia Bonotto being a clown.
Now, what
gotta get a Ferrari jab in there.
Well, so we've got Tilke, we've got Ferrari, and that is... Is that Rosberg? No, it is Rosberg versus Di Resta, so that's 4th position for Rosberg before Bottas and Raikkonen make their pit stops, and Alonso, that's 23.7 seconds. That has shot his race.
That's GP4 for you. The mechanics usually go back in the garage whenever the second car comes in, just the way it works. So already Alonso's race is shot. I'll be having words in the morning as Bottas comes into the pits.
From the lead. So, and into the pits with him comes Kimi Raikkonen. Now, where are they going to rejoin with regards to Vettel? Because I'm going to assume that Vettel pitted 1 lap before these two. And I think that's Hamilton retaking the lead.
I'm gonna presume he did, yeah, because he's nowhere on the screen, is he? So I presume he's already pitted as the Exolite mechanics have finished their pit stop. Bottas just getting out ahead of Raikkonen, so the Finns staying put in the same order as they came in the pits.
And there goes Bottas, rejoining in 2nd position, or resuming 2nd position. Di Resta pits from 5th position, and Vettel rejoins ahead of Raikkonen, but behind Bottas. So good.
Bottas had a very quick stop, I must add. It was a 4.7 second stop I just saw there. Raikkonen's was a 6 second stop, so big difference.
A blinding stop. Excuse me, blinding stop from the GRM. Contact between Kubica, or is that Massa? I think it is Massa.
I think it's Massa. Yeah, I think it's Massa. It's got number 19 on the helmet, so I think it is Massa. Speaking of Vettel, here he is.
Looking to regain that 3rd position away from Bottas. And there's Raikkonen a second or so back. And Perez and Kubica 6th and 7th at the moment, but having not stopped, I'm going to assume Kubica is 1 stopping, and Perez may be 1 or 2 stopping. Haven't seen the fuel gauge on board that one, but could be 2 stopping. And Vettel looking to get up alongside Rosberg into the final corner, and fairly straightforward for the shake and bake. Bottas trying to hang on, but Vettel has got the position.
Fantastic stuff, and I think he'll probably now just go off into the distance. As here is, I believe this is Alonso, because I believe AJ got the 6 and the 14 the wrong way around, so I believe this is Alonso. He's on the back of a Tornado, so I presume it is. He should be able to get past him on this straight. I'm so surprised at how far back the Tornadoes have gone, considering the last few seasons they've been up at the front, but Alonso should be able to get past him pretty easily. I believe this is Verni's passing, or is it Buemi? I think it's Buemi actually, and that's 14th for Alonso.
14th for Alonso, passing the Tornado, who is currently on the soft tyres, and that may have some reason as to why they've dropped far back. The soft tyres might not be working very well, but even so, it's quite staggering how far back they are after they were championship contenders last season.
And the season before as well.
1-2 in the championship in 2012.
Yeah, as meantime, Kimi Raikkonen, as his teammate, is in the background there. That's, of course, Sergio Perez, who hasn't pitted yet. Raikkonen on the inside of Bottas. He should get the move done pretty easily, and he does. Raikkonen, the senior Finn, moves up into 4th place. Bottas trying to hang with him, though, so maybe he could get him back on the straight, but I think Raikkonen has got the move done. So that's P4 for the defending champion.
So we go back to Fernando Alonso, nudging the back of Kobayashi, just spin. About hanging on.
Phew. Jesus Christ, Fernando, I brought you back to the team to try and win the championship, not do the same mistakes as you did in 2012.
And immediately catching up to the back of Kobayashi, who might well be 1 stopping. I think both FJRs are 1 stopping as well, because I saw them quite close to Perez and Kubica and Ricciardo. And that could well be them in front of this battling duo.
As Alonso now, it looks like whoever's in front of him, I've forgotten who the guy is in front, is just defending the inside there. It's Kobayashi, of course, because the other one's obviously at the front.
Leading by 11.7 seconds at the moment.
Exactly, same top two as Australia, as Alonso gets the move done into turn 1 and moves up into 13th.
Same top two indeed, Hamilton and Rosberg, former best mates. And the driver who's finished third in that race currently sits 5th behind Vettel and Raikkonen. And we're having a look at Romain Grosjean, who is at the back of Alguersuari. Alguersuari defending 10th position, but Grosjean looks like he's got the measure of the Spaniard. So that's up to 10th. Next target, I presume that will be Kevin Magnussen.
I would probably guess as well, because he was ahead of Button earlier on in the race, as Suttil is now going to try and attack Alguersuari if he can. Down the inside, I think he'll get the move done unless he makes contact. And has he got the move? We'll never know, because we've cut to Perez,
who's come into the pits from 6th position now. Let's see how much fuel the Mexican takes on board as he rounds the interesting pit entry. Speeds up to the speed line. And one of the early pit boxes, because Kimi's the current champion. On the jacks goes Perez. That's a one-stop strategy, so definitely going to the end. So he'll come into play once the second pit stops are underway.
So the guy who was actually behind Perez, who also didn't pit, also appears to be on a one-stop as well.
Robert Kubica, yeah. There's Paul Di Resta versus Sebastian Buemi. That's 14th position for the Horizon driver.
As now the two Tornadoes are going to be scrapping it out for what will be, is it 15th place?
15th position.
It's now Vern on the inside of Buemi, and that's easy as you like. Vern up into 15th.
And just behind them, I think that's Carlos Sainz and Felipe Massa having a close run thing. And who's behind those two? Not sure, as we go on to Jean-Eric Verne, looking to challenge Paul Di Resta for that 13th position. Up the inside into turn 1, and that's 13th position for Jean-Eric. Next target is Kamui Kobayashi's 12th position. So Jean-Eric Verne's not doing too badly in the middle stint, but still a long way off of where Tornado expects him to be. As we're on board with Felipe Massa, outbraking Sebastian Buemi into the final corner, and that's 15th position for the Brazilian, who sat out 2 seasons, last raced in the 2011 season with Guy Racing, and now he's back. Here's Vettel. That was a very short middle stint for the shake and bake driver. Into his pit box and taking field to the end of the race, so that might have been why Vettel jumped Raikkonen during the first round of stops.
It looks like one of your mechanics are out for someone else as well. 5.4 second stop for Sebastian Vettel. Where's he going to place himself? Let's have a look. It looks like he's going to be 8th place, and it will be ahead of, I believe that's Fernando Alonso, who's coming up behind him.
And he spotted my mechanics out there, and Jenson Button was indeed the one coming into his pit box on that one-stop strategy. Kimi Raikkonen, also a short middle stint, comes into the pits, so responding to Vettel's pit stop. And that's another quickish stop, 5.5 seconds, not quite as quick as Bottas's, 4.7, but away goes the Finn.
It's 5 tenths quicker though than his first stop, as Kubica is now into the pits for, I believe it's Andrew F1, isn't it?
Yep, that'll be his first stop. First and only stop for Kubica.
And in fact, Vettel is actually behind Alonso. So he did initially get ahead of him, but now he's actually fell behind him. That's not good for the German.
Has Alonso got a second stop to make, though?
I would like to think he did, because he came in at the same time as Rosberg. Speaking of which, he comes into the pits now for his second stop.
So pitting first compared to Hamilton, and away in 5 seconds. That's a quick stop.
Very, very quick stop. Let's see where this puts the other German out on the track. He's got a lot of clear track, nobody around him. Well, I say that, somebody's now just gone by. And he rejoins in 4th position behind Daniel Ricciardo. Right just behind him, actually.
So we should expect Hamilton to come into the pits very soon. We're expecting him about lap 36-37 as Kobayashi comes into the pits. So a bit of practice for the Gajera pit crew. And 5.9 seconds, slightly slower than some of the stops we've seen, but still not too bad.
Absolutely. I like the pit mechanics that Gajera has actually made there. It's better than the ones that he was suggesting a couple of seasons ago, but we'll not go over that.
That was actually a technical rule, that, as Hamilton does indeed come into the pits slightly earlier, but still fairly on schedule. Yeah, it's a technical rule, that is, if you post a picture of that, you get disqualified.
The unwritten rules of FF1M.
And the other unwritten rule is that there's a certain piece of commentary in F1 where if you quote that, then you get disqualified, and that was the 2006 Hungarian race, where James Allen goes mental at the end.
Jenson Button style, are we talking about there?
Correct, yeah.
As Hamilton had a 6.5 second stop and he still rejoined in the lead, so just in front of Bottas, but he's still in the lead of the race, as I would suspect, judging from that, Rosberg's about 14 seconds behind, because that obviously updates as Hamilton's got a problem!
Loose wheel, according to the graphic. So that is going to compromise his race. He's limping back to the pits. Now Bottas leads at the moment. That is going to put Rosberg in the lead.
Hallelujah.
I can hear your chair squeaking with excitement there.
Yes, I was celebrating.
So, reliability problems hit Hamilton as Bottas comes into the pits. So that's going to put Bottas ahead of Hamilton as well. It's because they're both pitting at the same time.
For the moment, it is a Willows 1-2, because I've just seen Alonso just go down the pit straight, and he's actually pulling away from Vettel. So Alonso still having some very decent pace at the moment. Bottas and Hamilton come out of their stops. Hamilton behind Raikkonen, and I believe Bottas is as well. Yes, he is. So Raikkonen ahead. I believe this is going to be around about 4th or 5th. Hamilton will come out in
5th, I think. But then once Alonso makes his stop, then that will put 6th at the moment. Rosberg, Alonso, Vettel, Raikkonen, Bottas and Hamilton. That's the top 6 at the moment. And here comes Alonso for his second stop. So he's going to be quite quick on the newer tyres in the final stint, so he can still score some serious points.
Hopefully indeed, especially with Rosberg at the moment out in front leading the Grand Prix. And if I'm right in saying where Hamilton is at the moment, I think Rosberg would lead the championship if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, correct, because Rosberg had that second position in Australia, and a win would move him up to 20 points, which would be more than Hamilton. I'm trying to calculate that. Hamilton, if he finishes 4th, that will give him 17 points.
I think he's 5th from memory, because he was 6th when he came out of the pits, and I think he's just gone by Alonso, so he'll be in 5th place, so that's worth
4 points.
It's 4 points, isn't it? Yeah, so a little bit less than what you just said there, but he rejoins just behind one of the Pedersens. I believe that is past Maldonado. I think it's Maldonado. Oh no, it is Grosjean. You are right. I do apologise.
That's no problem. But he's going to make the move on Roman very quickly. Roman trying to shut the door, and Alonso having none of it as he moves back into the points. That's 8th position for Fernando.
Looks like he'd get a maximum of 6th at this rate, because Kubica and Ricciardo are only just up the road. I'm not sure if he can get Hamilton though. I don't think 13 seconds now. I don't think he's going to get Hamilton unless something happens to Hamilton again. I don't think the maximum he's probably going to get is 6th place, as he's now on the back of Kubica.
And quite unusual that it was Hamilton who had the reliability issue, because manufacturer statuses have a slightly more reliability than customer status teams.
You would imagine. But at least we've got level now with Hamilton, that's for sure, as Alonso on the inside of Kubica, and that's P7 for the Spaniard.
Next target, Daniel Ricciardo for 6th position, as Kubica no doubt will be... his tyres will be getting a bit old now. So he'll do well to hang on to 8th position, and looking at Grosjean, there's Perez, and there's an FJR as well in the background. So Kubica's going to have a bit of a job holding on to 8th position here.
I think he's probably going to be out of the points with the old tyres, especially considering how quick the Exolite is compared to the Andrew. Especially considering how quick the Ilmor engine is in the back of that car. As now, Alonso is on the back of the man who used to be at Willows, Ricciardo.
Ricciardo raced for Willows last season, and then the season before that he was Hamilton's teammate at Tornado. And Ricciardo definitely has got a bit of his mojo back with a bit more of a competitive car, but I bet he wish he'd be staying at Willows, because Willows have got an even more competitive car.
Well, at least he's got his form back at Shake and Bake, and that's important, but I couldn't turn down the opportunity to get Alonso back, as he's now back up into 6th place.
6th position, and the gap between himself and Hamilton as having to feel the need to defend a little bit from Ricciardo, just in case, but that should be 6th position, no problem for Alonso. 12 seconds back from Hamilton, tall order to catch him.
Yeah, I think 6th is probably going to be the maximum the Spaniard gets, but hopefully I get proven wrong, because an extra position would be nice, but that is P6 for the Spaniard.
And it's his teammate who leads at the moment. Lap 44, Rosberg leads by 8.3 seconds from Sebastian Vettel, who will be delighted to be in second after having lost the win last time out in Australia in, if you're not Courtney Cass, very comical circumstances.
Well, I'm not Courtney Cass, I'm Joseph Willows.
Kimi Räikkönen sits in 3rd position at the moment, 12.4 seconds, well now 13.2 seconds behind on lap 51 as we look at Hamilton versus Bottas.
So, in fact, Hamilton could be looking at a podium here, because Räikkönen's not that far in front of Bottas, so he could gain a few more points back that he's lost from a potential victory today.
Yeah, quite surprising that Bottas is quite that close behind Räikkönen. Just shows you how good the GRM is this season and how good Bottas is. But now he's becoming a bit more under pressure from Hamilton as we go down the back straight. Hamilton not close enough this time round, but with 4-5 laps to go, Hamilton can definitely attack the two Finns.
He's not close enough on this instant though to go for a move, so I wonder if he'll be waiting for potentially turn 4 to possibly try and get his real life Mercedes teammate, might I add. He's not your bitch this time, Lewis, so
let's have a look as we... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I've got to get more jabs in.
Bottas the ideal number 2.
He is indeed. But I do feel sorry for Bottas in a way in real life, because I think some of the shtick that he gets from fans I don't think is justified enough, because at least he's actually at the front, unlike Verstappen's teammate.
Yeah, I mean, Bottas has been a very good number 2, but I think Monza is a bit of a letdown in terms of racing through the field.
Indeed, especially when Hamilton was actually charging up, so we can't really blame it on the fact that the Mercedes is not a very good overtaking car. Yeah,
it was an odd one.
Speaking of Hamilton and Bottas, it looks like Hamilton might be able to get him on the next straight, providing that he doesn't go around the outside.
So as we exit turn 14 onto the back straight with the lovely grandstand on the left, Hamilton is in the slipstream, Bottas shimmying a little bit, trying to defend his position, but that was a lot of movement under braking there. As we go through the final corner onto the next big long straight, Hamilton nicely in the slipstream as he chooses the outside, and obviously he didn't make it because we're now into turn 4.
And again, he's not going to make it into turn 4. I bet the GRM team boss, George Roke, is having a midlife crisis at the moment, seeing that he's been able to defend a proven champion in FF1M.
And this is giving Kimi Räikkönen a bit of breathing space, and Bottas defending a bit going into 7 and 8, and now short straight into turn 9, which we've seen some action this race, and Bottas weaving, just making sure Hamilton doesn't do a big dive bomb up the inside. So far it's working.
He's definitely learnt a few things from the the elder Finn, Kimi Räikkönen, from when he was defending Alonso a lot earlier in the race, and he's definitely working out well with him defending Lewis Hamilton at the moment. But let's see if Lewis can get him this time, though, on this long straight.
Needs a good run out of this corner onto the back straight, and Bottas has got a bit of a cushion. Bottas could well be holding on to 4th position, but who knows, we've still got 3 more laps to go. Through the final corner, Hamilton, you can see how much more grip he's got at that corner there, and now he's firmly in the slipstream once again. A little bit further back, but that could play to his advantage. Round the outside once again.
Bottas doing a good job still to defend from him at the moment, but as long as Hamilton gets a good run out of turn 2, I think he should be able to get him up into turn 4. And it looks like he's close behind him, so I think he might actually try and have a go.
Let's have a look. Bottas defending a little bit. Hamilton up the inside. He's got the inside, but Bottas hanging on round the outside. Good defensive driving. Or very grim defensive driving, but it's working so far. And Alonso's catching up a bit, but won't be enough at this rate.
Bottas has definitely impressed me this season, it must be said, especially last season when he took that unexpected victory at Hungary.
A brilliant victory, and unexpected. Now through turn 9, and Hamilton closing up a little bit once again. It's going to have to be into the final hairpin.
Yet again, but he's failed the previous few times, so who's to say it's going to work this time? Then again, we said that about Alonso, and he actually found a way through in the end, but I think Hamilton is much closer this time than what he has been.
A lot closer this time round. And Bottas, traction reasonable, but Hamilton has got enough of a slipstream. I'll briefly go on board with Bottas, who's not defending it this time. He's defending it now, but it's going to be too late as Hamilton goes at the inside and takes 4th position away from the GRM driver. So Hamilton's recovery. Now he's got Kimi Räikkönen. 2.2 seconds with 2 laps to go. That might just be a bit too tall an order.
Look how close Alonso has got over the last few laps as well. So had the race gone on a little bit longer, he could have been challenging for a podium.
23.7 seconds. Definitely the fastest driver in his final stint has been Alonso, because he's closed, well, he was 30 seconds at one point behind Rosberg, so Alonso's recovery's not been too bad either. As we have a look at his teammate, Nico Rosberg.
Fantastic drive for Nico, it must be said. Obviously got a little bit lucky with Hamilton's problem, but he was there to capitalise, and for me, that's what you need in racing, and Nico has definitely stepped up to the plate.
Had that good start, avoiding the chaos at turn 4 on the opening lap, and that helped him move up to 2nd position, and capitalising on when Hamilton had the loose wheel. As he goes through 7 and 8, he's got half a lap to go.
At the moment, it will be our first win since Abu Dhabi 2012 at the moment, and Rosberg's first win since 2012 as well, when he was driving for, it was Gajera, wasn't it?
Gajera, at that point known as Sean Connery Motors.
Oh, that silly name.
more commonly known as Geek Racing.
Yeah, I think we'll just stick to Gajera. I think that's more of a simpler name than Sean Connery Motors.
Yes. And onto the back straight goes Nico Rosberg. Controlled it comfortably ever since Hamilton had that loose wheel, but always close enough to capitalise on such a thing as he rounds the final corner. And taking the first win since Abu Dhabi 2012, Nico Rosberg wins the Malaysian Grand Prix. Congrats.
Congrats indeed, fantastic. First win since 2012 and definitely redemption after a winless 2013. We definitely needed that.
Absolutely, and Sebastian Vettel comes home 2nd for Shake and Bake, so redemption for him after his calamitous flip in Australia. Kimi Räikkönen, another form of redemption after making that mistake in Australia with 3rd position for the current champion, and Lewis Hamilton takes 4th. Could have easily been a win, but reliability intervened. Bottas 5th, and completing the top 8, Fernando Alonso, Daniel Ricciardo and Robert Kubica.
A case of what if for Fernando Alonso, really?
Yes, very odd pit strategy. There's no other word for that.
Yeah, I might slowly forgive them, considering that we've won, but I'll still be having words.
And just looking further back, there's just the two non-finishers in the end, Pastor Maldonado with the gearbox/drive shaft problem, and Nico Hulkenberg, who had that first lap incident. And very unfortunate for the Mitchell, who Hulkenberg looking very quick this season. He needs more luck, I think.
I think he does indeed. Lewis Hamilton setting the fastest lap at 1:32.619. To be expected, really, because he was putting in fastest lap after fastest lap for several laps during the race.
That must have been during it might have been during the final stint, actually, with the freshest of fresh tyres, but could have been during the first stint as well. So, Gajira looking quite quick. But
again,
only,
a case of what
only
if
for
Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, a case of what if for him as well.
So Nico Rosberg does indeed lead the Drivers' Championship, 20 points. 3 points is the buffer between himself and Lewis Hamilton. Bottas sits third at the moment, after a third and a fifth. And Vettel rockets up the order to fourth position, ahead of Kimi Raikkonen and Nico Hulkenberg.
Indeed, as Romain Grosjean 7th, Alonso finally getting on the points board in ninth, but definitely a lot more to come from him. And we actually lead the Constructors' Championship, which is a big surprise. I didn't expect that, to be honest.
6 points the buffer between Willows and Gajira. Probably by virtue of Gajira being a one-driver team, whereas Willows have got two very capable drivers.
Two drivers capable of winning a race, which is always the key ingredient for winning a Constructors' Championship. GRM in third, very impressive.
Yes, tied with Shake and Bake on 10 points each, and X-Lite were next up on 8 points. So that was the Malaysian Grand Prix. Next up we will be moving to China for the Shanghai International Circuit. Stay tuned and see you soon.
Bye bye.